Hello everyone, welcome to this video on the introduction to JavaScript. So for this video, I'm going to talk about what is JavaScript and what is this in relation to our previous discussions on HTML and CSS. So what can it do? And we're also going to learn how to use JavaScript to change the attribute value, to change the HTML style via the CSS attribute. We also learn how to hide HTML elements as well as display them. And also we'll end this video with a discussion or the code on how to display the date and time using JavaScript. So let's start with the discussion of what is JavaScript. So JavaScript is one of the world's most popular programming languages. So it's a programming language specifically for the web. So it's easy to learn, and while I want you to understand that these three, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, actually works together. So HTML is used to define the content of the web page. CSS is used to specify how these web pages are laid out, and JavaScript is going to be used to program the behavior of the web pages based on the action of the user. So specifically, it can change the HTML content, it can change the attribute of this HTML, it can change the CSS style, hide and show them as well. So I'm going to give you examples of this for this particular video. So let's start with using JavaScript to change the HTML content. So as you can see here, let's focus on the title, JavaScript can change HTML content. You have noticed that we actually ID'd the paragraph here, which has a value of I am happy to sample. So we have identified, we tagged this one as a sample. Okay, so this one should be unique. And so if you're going to create a button, so declaration of button/button means that you're going to create a button that will be clickable. So as you can see here, the type is a button. Now, how will it behave when it is clicked? So you have here onClick, which is a predefined word, is equal to document.getElementById. So in here, you're actually asking or specifying that JavaScript will look for a specific part of this page that is identified as sample. So in this case, it is going to refer to this paragraph that we have identified as a sample containing the value I am happy. And you're changing the content of this particular element of your page such that the value of inner HTML, meaning to say the value of that particular paragraph, will be changed to this is exciting me. So this one, that is a new value. Click me is the one that will appear on your button. So I'm going to show you a video on what happens when this particular code is run. At the same time, you will be when you look at the video, you will understand that I will be showing you what happens when you change the ID. So that means to say the ID that you specify here, okay, or in other words, the part of your document that you want to change should be the same to the getElementById specification that you identify in your button, so that it will work on that particular part of your document. So meaning to say, if you name this paragraph as let's say demo, and then you use sample as the ID name, or you have specified that you want to do this button, you want this button to work for that particular ID that is named sample and not demo, then it will not work. Okay, it's not going to make an error, but when you click on this button, it will not be connected. Okay, it will not work for this particular paragraph. So have a look at this example. So here, this is the output of the code, and this is the code that I have shown you earlier. And okay, let me play this video. So what happens here, I'm sorry if you could not see my my mouse cursor. So as you can see, I click me, and it changed the value to "this is exciting me." Now this is the part when the ID is changed to testing, and so that means to say that inside your button code, you have to change sample to testing as well for it to work. And then the value "I am happy" is changed to the name. So in this case, I changed the value from "I am happy" to "my name is Jana." And then, so what you want to happen is that when you run this website, it will display "my name is Jana," but once this particular button that is named "click me" is clicked, it will display or change that value of the paragraph into actually "I am Nikki." So I'm typing that in, and then save the file, and I refreshed it. So as you can see, the initial value is "my name is Jana," but when "click me" is clicked, it will display actually "I am Nikki." So with this, I hope you were able to understand the purpose of the code and how button works and how it displayed on your screen. It displays this nice looking button, and how the ID element here, which is a value of testing, is going to be connected to that particular button. So I'm giving you back this particular code that I have shown earlier. I want you to make some revisions on how it works. So you might want to change the ID name here, and also change the get element by ID here. So specifically, again, when you say get element by ID, is you want JavaScript to look for that part of the document that is tagged as sample, and you want it to change to this value. So please take note of the part of this JavaScript code that is enclosed in double quotes. Now this one, on click, is enclosed in single quotes, and the value of inner HTML is equal to is again enclosed in double quotes. So try this one out, and then try to see how it works. Try to make some changes. Challenge yourself on other things that you might want to do on your website. Now let's move on. For this part of this video, we're going to learn how JavaScript changes the HTML value or attribute value of your code. So as you can see here, you have a heading which will display "where should I go?" And initially, I'm going to show you how I'm going to display an image that is a file name of lookright.jpg. So as you can see here, try to ignore ID first. So let's look at image source. So that's what you learned in our discussion of HTML. So you say image source is equal to, and then the name of the file that you want to insert into your page. And then here we're specifying that the width of that particular image is going to be equivalent to 100 pixels. Now, try to add into this code the ID. So I'm calling this particular image, this part of your document, as dog dir or dog directory or something like that. So dog dir is the name. Okay, we're tagging this particular slot or part of your document as dog dir, and I want you to understand what will happen if you're going to insert this button. So as you can see here, you have a button that will refer to this particular ID, dog dir. So you have here, how will the button react? How will it behave? So you have on click, it will look in your document for that element that is tagged as dog dir, and then you want to change the source. Now remember that here we're specifying that source, meaning remember that this one is an image source attribute of your HTML code. So here we're saying that on click, this document which is tagged, or this part of your document that is tagged as dog dir, the value of its source or src will be changed to lookleft.jpg. Now remember that here initially we have inserted an image, so immediately when you run this code, the value of your image source is going to be look right. So it's going to display look right, which is this image, the dog looking at the right side of the screen. Now, if someone clicks on look left, which is a button, it will set or change the value of its source from look right into look left. So it's actually as simple as that. Now, if, okay, and then you have here, no, another button that if someone will click on the button that has a value of look right, it will change the value of that particular image source into lookright.jpg. So here, if you try to understand it, you're simply displaying a value or the image source or an image of a picture or a picture rather, using the value or the HTML code image source. You're simply inserting it, okay, and displaying it as a default value, such that every time the button look left or look right is clicked, it will change the value of that particular part of your website. So have a look at this. So you have here, okay, so you have a heading, where should I go? So it's initially the output. Now I'm going to try and insert a button, but before that I'm going to show you that I will insert first an image on my website using the HTML code image source, but I will call this part of my document as dog dir, okay, or dog directory. Now please take note that in ID you use a single quote, and then here you have the source is equal to whatever file name. So the file name there is the image that you want to load by default. In this case, look right is the default picture that will be shown on your site, and that's the size. Okay, so that means this is optional here. This part is optional. You just want to make sure that both pictures that you're going to be changing into will have the same width. And if, okay, now you have here before, so there's going to be a button on the left and the right side of the image. And that's why you're putting the button on top. And the button will be specifying that you're going to look for that part of your video that is identified or tagged as dog dir, and you're going to change its source value to look left. Whatever is its value, you will be changing it to look left. Now, okay, so please take note again, the value of that is enclosed in single quote. The entire value of your on-click is enclosed in double quote. And that's the value that will be shown on your button. Okay, and it ends, of course, with a /button code. Now, on the right side of your image, okay, you just want to copy the same thing. Okay, but this time, instead of the look left image, you're going to change the value to look right so that it will be alternating between these two images. And you want to change the value of look left here so that it will not look different to look right. So I'm changing it now. And so when you see that and you run this, it will display this. By default, it will be left. Each time you click on the other button, it will load the other image, which is simply two similar images looking on the right side and the left side of your screen. So I hope you learned something from this example. I want you to challenge yourself and look for a similar image online, perhaps a guy walking using its left and right legs, or perhaps a gesture of the hand, or whatever two similar images that you want to display alternately using this particular code. So pause this video for a while and try it out. Okay, I hope that you tried it out and I hope that it ran. Okay, now if you have any questions about this, you may always message on the forum. Alright, so let's move on and let's use JavaScript to change the HTML style, okay, using CSS. As you can see here, I have a code that will display using heading 2, do you want me to help you grow? So it's just a design that I want to, a heading which I want to be displayed on my website. And I have a paragraph here that will simply display the word grow. No specification to its default size. It will just use the default paragraph size unless you have style settings on top using CSS. Now, Then we tag that as sample. Now in your button is, of course, again a button type, and on click, what will happen is that it will set that particular part of your website, which is sample, tagged as sample, which is the word grow. It will change its font size to 60. Okay, and the name or the text that will be displayed on that button is click me. Okay, so what will happen? So if you're going to look here, notice that you have, do you want me to help you grow? And then you have the text grow, and then you have the button with the label click me. So what will happen when you click me? So when you do that, okay, just wait for a while. I'm sorry that this one displays bandicam.com. That's the software I used to do this. It simply grew. So here, change it to 60 again, and I copied it. I saved it and I refreshed my file, and then when you click on click me, it's now using the value, the text or the paragraph grow will now be using the font size, which is 60. So again, I wanted to try this one out, perhaps with another attribute, using another style, and I want you to see how it affects the value of your HTML style. So guys, I hope it worked, and I hope that you really paused your video. I really want you to learn as much as possible here. For the next example, it's going to be the opposite of what we did earlier. So in this example here, we have displayed a paragraph that has a value of shrink. It's tagged as sample, just like the previous example that I have shown you. But this time, its default style or font size is equivalent to 30. Now note that this time, we changed the value here. So it's still going to display click me on your button. And this time on click, what will happen is that it will change the size of this particular font into 10. So again, please take note that the value of your type is button, and then on click, you have here a value that is enclosed in double quotes. Only the specific value of that particular attribute inside this on-click code is going to be enclosed in single quote. So what will happen is that if I'm going to run this one and you click on the word click me, it will shrink the value. It will make your text smaller. So you might want to create two buttons here, one that will make it grow and the other that will make it smaller. All right, so challenge yourself, do not limit yourself, and try it out. So guys, I said this already, I want you to create a code that will display a word. Okay, I don't care what word you're going to put there, but here you have two buttons, shrink and grow. So when you click on shrink, it will make the text smaller. When you click on grow, it will make the text bigger. So please take note that at this point, we cannot specify yet how much, or is there going to be increments in how it makes the text smaller or decrements, but it's going to be a specific value yet. So I wanted to try it out. So it should work like this. So if I click on shrink, it will make it smaller. If I click on grow, it will grow back. So it could alternately change it to these two values. So challenge yourself and try it out. So guys, you might be interested to know the solution. So as you can see here, it's actually pretty simple. So initially you have, so this is what I wanted you to do. So it should be able to shrink and grow the text. So we're just simply changing the value of your CSS style here. So as you can see, you have a text, okay, which is displayed as a paragraph. It uses initially the value of 30. When the button that displays shrink is clicked, it's changing the value of the size to 10. So if it's already in 10, it will not make any difference. It will still remain as is. Now if it's already shrunk and then you click on the button grow, it will change the value of the font size to 40. So once again, if it's already using the 40 pixels size and you click on grow again, it will not make any difference at this point. So we're just showing here very simple codes at this point, considering that this is your first exposure to JavaScript. So try this one out. If you did this one and your code worked correctly, or it's similar to mine, or it might be different but it works just the same, so well and good, don't worry about it. We all have different ways of solving a problem. As long as the specification of the problem is met, that will still be considered correct. So if you have not done anything close to the solution, then you might want to, at this point, pause this video and try out the code that is flashed on your screen. Alright, so moving on, we could also use JavaScript to hide HTML documents. So as you can see here, we have a heading that displays "Want to see magic?" and then initially you have a paragraph that has a value of "hide me." So "hide me" is displayed on your screen, and then you have a button type, which is button. Now of course, if this is what you're going to create without any other specifications on how it will behave, then it will simply display a button and it will not do anything if you click it. Okay, it's simply just going to be there. It looks like a button, but nothing is going to happen. So I'm changing the code at this point and specifying that on click, this is how it will behave. It will go to that document that is tagged as sample. So get element by ID. You specify the ID of that paragraph or that element or part of your site that is tagged as sample, and then you're changing the style that display to none. So here you're simply changing its attribute to none, which means that while it's hidden, displayed by default, when that button is clicked, it will hide that particular element on your screen. So that explains why you have here working website wherein after clicking click me, it will hide the text hide me. So this is the code that will work to do just that. I wanted to try it out and pause again the video. Alright, so I hope you did. Now let's move on to our next topic, which is showing HTML documents. So here is the opposite of that video or of that particular problem. In this case here, we have a heading that displays "Want to see magic?" When you click on the button click me, it will display a text, and that is what I'm going to display with you or to discuss with you in the succeeding slide. So as you can see, you now have a text peekaboo on your screen the moment you click on click me. So what happens here? So you have a paragraph which is tagged as demo, and then the style of its display is by default none, which explains why by default it's not shown on your screen. Now the moment you created a button that is also that also uses the on-click attribute. So you're specifying how it will behave. Again, you are picking out on that part of your document that is named or tagged as demo. And then you have here style that display is block. So you're simply changing the display property of this particular paragraph from none to black. That explains why, because you changed the value of that particular paragraph's attribute to black, it will now be displayed on that area where it's supposed to be displayed. And so again, I want you to try this one out. You can try other words or images that you might want to hide and display, or display and hide. We are down to the last slide of this particular video, and this is the part when I'm going to share with you how you could display or retrieve the system date, no? Date and time actually, because we did not specify any format from your computer. So here you have a button, and sorry, it's supposed to display my first JavaScript and not want to know today's date and time. So here, it's going to display, click me to display date and time. And so the button here is not click me, but the words click me to display date and time will be used here on that particular button, such that if you click on that button, it will display the date property. So I'm not going to demonstrate the output of this one. I want you to do this on your own. So please put the video on hold or pause this video. Type in this code correctly, not properly, and then save your work, refresh, click on the button that will be displayed. Again, it will not display click me if you're going to follow this code correctly. Rather, it will display click me to display date and time. And what happens when you click on this button is going to be what I want you to find out. All right. So I hope you have done just that. And before ending this video, I'd like to again give you the summary of what we have just discussed. We discussed what is JavaScript, what it can do, and how it is interrelated to your HTML and your CSS. How do you use JavaScript to change the value of your attribute? How do you use it to change the CSS style of your code, of your HTML code? How do you use it to hide and to display elements of your HTML? And I'm not only talking about paragraphs here or text. You could use other elements as what you already are experts in HTML. And finally, we ended with a discussion on how to use JavaScript to display the system date and time of your computer. And with that, I'd like to say thank you, and let's look forward to more videos.